Hey guys, it's Chloe. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. As you can see behind me, we've got a little bit of a different setup today in the garage. Standing behind me is a 2022 Toyota Tundra. I have always wanted to bring you guys more Tundra content, so my friends at KYB actually lent me their truck, and today we're gonna work on some fun projects, including installing their front coilovers. So today we got KYB 2000 series shocks going on this thing, a great little project for this weekend. And it's not every day I'm around a Tundra like this one. It actually reminds me a lot of Toyota's TRD Desert Chase Tundra, which was a concept truck that debuted in SEMA in 2021, essentially an off-road truck built around desert travel and equipped to support a race vehicle. Because this KYB truck also has a chase rack with a spare mounted in the bed, but there's also a decked drawer system, off-road lights including a bar up top and side shooters, all-terrain tires, and of course, the off-road performance shocks. And even though it was clean, I could tell this thing clearly gets used in the desert. I'd volunteer to take these side steps off for them, but that's beyond our scope of work for today. But back to the reason this truck is actually in my garage. A few of my friends at Toyota have been mentioning KYB to me, so this felt like a good opportunity to finally see what they're about. KYB Corporation is a Japanese-based shock manufacturer who I actually learned is the world's largest supplier of OE and aftermarket shocks and struts. They manufacture suspension components for vehicles like Toyota RAV4, Corolla Cross, Camry, and other Japanese OEM applications, so chances are you've probably driven on KYB shocks before without even realizing it. The 2000 series is their aftermarket off-road suspension line for the Tundra, and KYB gave me permission to pull these off the truck so we could take a closer look at them. And honestly, I'll take any excuse to get my tools out and start wrenching on something, so let's tear into it. So you can see for this install and pretty much this whole video, I actually had to pull the Tundra in only partially. I can actually park it diagonally and the garage completely closes, which is exciting. That means I can fit a Tundra in here, although I did move and I am in the process, very long process, of building my own garage setup. So eventually the videos will be filmed elsewhere. But you can see because of this header over here, if I brought the truck in more and I started working on it and actually lifting it, even though this light bar mount, which I really like by the way, I want to get something like this for my Tacoma, even though it's a low profile and kind of in line with the roof, if I were to start jacking up the vehicle, which I obviously needed to do the install, we would have had a Land Cruiser 2.0 situation, which can't happen. The few but exciting times like today when I've gotten to borrow vehicles from say Toyota or a manufacturer like KYB, or honestly anybody else for that matter, I become overly cautious with them, because if I break something on my own truck, that's one thing, I can fix it and mentally deal with it, but it would definitely feel worse if it's someone else's vehicle, you know? So it's a first for me doing something like this, and shout out KYB for being cool enough to let me pull these 2000 series shocks off of your Tundra, but I'm definitely trying to be careful with everything as I take this apart. 2 tries. Thankfully enough, the front suspension on these trucks is actually pretty similar to the Tacoma platform, which I've worked on a handful of times, as many of you know. So if you're curious about the install side of this, it's honestly a pretty DIY friendly project if you take your time, as you'll see in more detail as I reinstall them. There are other methods I've used to remove and reinstall coilovers on these trucks before. You can separate the spindle from the lower control arm instead, but the KYB instructions suggest the upper control arm route, which is actually what I typically do with my Tacoma. And that's how you remove a KYB 2000 shock from a Toyota Tundra. All right, so this is the KYB 2000 series coilover off of the Tundra, of course. You know, this is designed to be an off-road performing shock. I mean, that's clearly how this Tundra was kind of built. But on the shocks, this is evidenced by the fact that they're 2.7 inches in diameter. These are wider. Also, these, I believe, let me just check. Yep, are aluminum bodied obviously the springs are steel. I've run steel bodied shocks before, but now I think every single shock I run on my Tacomas and my Land Cruiser are aluminum body. It's just better for heat dissipation, because if you ever put the back of your hand next to one of your shocks after you've run them for a while, you'll notice that they get hot. Aluminum, again, dissipates the heat a little bit better. I already mentioned that KYB is an OEM manufacturer for shocks for Toyota for certain vehicles. So when you're looking at a shock like this from KYB, you know, you're not seeing anything too extreme. On some off-road builds, you might see things like external bypasses, remote reservoirs, and that's clearly not what you're seeing here. But what you are seeing is OEM quality with more off-road performance features. And I think that's really great for applications where you don't want to compromise having OEM-like parts, but you still want a capable off-road shock. But there are features on this 2000 that you don't see on most OE shocks. Especially this collar over here. Now this is something you will not see on a stock Tacoma shock, because what it does is it allows you to adjust for ride height. So depending on whether you're compressing or loosening the spring, you could vary the amount of lift you get, and specifically in these shocks, they're adjustable from 0 to 2 inches. This will allow you to run a larger tire, but there's generally also more travel with these shocks compared to the OEM shocks. And in my experience, more travel is really where you get a lot more ride quality in addition to all these other features. Again, I don't have a lot of time in this Tundra with these shocks specifically, but kind of the goal for me today was to understand the intention of these shocks just through observing them, and I think I have a better idea of what these specifically were designed for. It'll be fun taking this truck on the sand, but the ride on the street handles nicely, especially for a Tundra with so many accessories and this much weight. I love going from a Tacoma to a bigger truck with more torque. I actually personally don't mind the size of a Tundra, except for the garage issues, so it's definitely on my wish list when the time is right. So we'll save our full desert testing for another day, because I do have to reinstall that coilover, and I'm gonna go in a bit more detail on the steps I took to DIY this at home. Here's a little rundown of all the tools you'll end up needing, or at least all the tools I ended up using for this install. So a variety of socket sizes. Off the top of my head, you'll need a 12 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 17 millimeter, 19 millimeter, and 22 millimeter sockets, depending on what you're trying to get to, of varying lengths and drive sizes. And we've got some extensions over here. Some of the 14 millimeter nuts that you need to get to, you'll need a ratchet wrench for, so that's what this is for. The giant crescent was actually to loosen lower control arm bolts, which I recommend if you are not super strong like me. We've got a torque wrench, one that is capable of torquing to up to 190 foot-pounds, I believe. An alignment tool comes in handy for putting the lower shock bolt in. Same with a mallet, and this ball and peen hammer, definitely a must-have for separating the spindle from the upper control arm. This little bungee rope thing can be used to hold the spindle in place once it is removed from the upper control arm. We've got lots of different size breaker bars, including this giant 1/2-inch one. The best investment I ever made, this Milwaukee Fuel M18. And last but not least, needle nose pliers and a new set of cotter pins. You definitely want to replace your old one with one that is brand new. And anti-seize, always a good idea. All right, now it's time to reinstall our shock. You want to make sure the orientation is right. The top hat actually has which way the shock goes out. I'm gonna go in between or behind these brake and ABS lines. And bring it over the axle. All right. It's a good idea to have a nut ready for one of the upper shock threads. That way, once you get it in, they'll be held in place. At least give my arms my little weak little arms a break. So we're going to push down on the lower control arm to give us enough clearance to get that lower shock mount in place. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure you're keeping an eye on these lines, because you definitely don't want them to get too tight. That's how things break.
Sometimes there's like brute, like slow strength, and sometimes there's just like quick, like to break a bolt or something, or just to get something in. Why do I always drop this nut? The other day, I like in the dark in my driveway, my parents' driveway, I was like putting a socket. I thought it was on, but I wasn't used to the ratchet. And then so when I flipped it to like take off whatever bolt I was taking off, of course the socket fell like all the way down deep into my Tacoma skid plate. Then I finally like picked it up even though I didn't have a magnet or anything. I didn't realize because it was dark that it wasn't clicked in all the way, and that's why it fell out. Then I did the same thing and did it again. It fell in the engine bay again, and I had to get it a second time. But then the third time I learned. Does anyone else overthink which way bolts go? I convinced myself that the right way isn't right, so then I go the wrong way. All right, so now we're gonna put we put the 4 nuts in for the upper shock, and now we're gonna put the lower shock bolts in. And I'm using the jack to kind of align where my lower shock bolt goes. Dude, to my naked eye, this is like exactly aligned. It's gotta be like perfect because the tolerances are like so tight. Don't forget, washer nut. Now that that's together, the next step is to put the spindle and upper control arm back together. Probably my least favorite part, aside from putting the shock back in. This is tricky. You gotta push down and thread at the same time. I think that was like 4 turns. Okay. Now this is a 19. Put our sway bar bolt back in. Now that we have that connected, the sway bar link reconnected, all I'm doing is putting my brake lines and ABS line back into place. Just the brackets that we removed so that there wouldn't be too much tension. Alrighty. Still make sure our axle spins okay. There we go. No weird noises. And I think that's it. All right, the last thing we're gonna do is torque everything to spec. Everything except for the lower and upper shock bolts, because those will be torqued once the truck is on the ground. So the castle nut, 19 millimeter, goes to 190 foot-pounds. Does my torque wrench even go there? No. Okay, now I gotta use the bougie snap-on one. Does it go up to there? Let's see. I think it does. 190. Now get it off, get it off. She won't come off. This is the sway bar link, also 190. And it's a smart idea to use a brand new cotter pin.
Then of course, remount the wheel and tire, and I always start those lugs by hand before going in with the impact. And I torque those to 97 foot-pounds. It's also a good idea to retorque the upper shock nuts and the lower shock bolt, which is what I'm doing here. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks again to KYB for letting me work on and live out my Tundra dreams for today. And also check out the 2000 series shocks up close. Let me know what you guys think of this truck and its setup, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!